Good evening, I'm Dennis Ward. Welcome to APTN National News. The Keepers of the Water, a non-profit environmental group in Alberta, teamed up with other environmental groups and the chief of the Cold Lake First Nations on Monday to demand that the proposed Pathways Alliance project be stopped. The project would capture CO2 from multiple oil sands and store it underground, hundreds of kilometers away. APTN's Chris Stewart has more.
The Alberta oil sands produce the highest levels of CO2 in Canada, the gas that causes global warming. Pathways Alliance is a collaboration of 6 of the biggest oil companies, and they want to build a 400-kilometer-long pipeline from Fort McMurray to spots around the Cold Lake area. The pipeline would contain trapped CO2, and Keepers of the Water say it will use water to transfer it and store it underground. It's called the Pathways Alliance CCUS project, and it's a $16 billion project. The recent federal budget allows a 60% tax credit for carbon capture investments. Jesse Cardinal, the executive director of Keepers of the Water, says CO2 is a huge issue, but the lack of water and contamination issues make the project unviable.
So yes, there's a problem. Is the solution to use massive amounts of water and pipe it down and store it underground in the Cold Lake, Elk Point, and St. Paul area? No, because there are a lot of people in that region that have water wells. They have groundwater wells. So you cannot be mixing toxic liquid waste into underground reservoirs.
Mark Dorn has worked for decades in the oil and gas industry. He says a leak is not a matter of if, but when.
It's troubling, to say the least, that all federal and provincial political parties support CCUS. I question who their technical advisors are. I question the soundness of their decisions. And I know that the oil industry spends some $50 million heavily lobbying governments at all levels for subsidy of their industry with essentially no countervailing lobbies at all.
And Cold Lake First Nations chief does not want this pipeline on his land.
They talk about reconciliation, but all this stuff happens, bills passes without our consent or even knowledge about it. You know, even when we give input, you know, they're just totally ignored.
Pathways Alliance President Kendall Dilling sent a statement to APTN that read, in part, carbon capture and storage is a proven technology used around the world, including here in Canada. According to the Global CCS Institute's 2025 report, there are 77 carbon capture and storage projects in operation, 47 under construction, 313 in early development, and 297 in advanced development. The office of Tim Hodson, the Federal Minister of Energy and Natural Resources, told APTN in a statement, in part, that the new federal government's approach to building major projects is grounded in partnership with Indigenous right holders. We will always work with impacted Indigenous peoples to ensure their concerns are heard and addressed in a meaningful way. The Office of the Alberta Minister of Environment and Protected Areas also sent a statement which reads in part, claims that the Pathways Project or any other CCUS initiative will lead to water shortages or create dangerous environmental risks are scientifically wrong. No water will be in this pipeline, which will move CO2 as a compressed gas. Chris Stewart, APTN National News, Edmonton.
A First Nation in Manitoba is dealing with the aftermath of a police-involved shooting that happened earlier this morning involving a 29-year-old male. The Powerview RCMP say they responded to 2 separate 911 calls Tuesday morning at 6:38 a.m. Both reported a male with a knife at a residence on the Saugeen First Nation about 120 kilometers northeast of Winnipeg. RCMP say when they arrived, an encounter took place which led to an officer discharging their firearm. Officers provided medical aid until EMS arrived. RCMP say the officers on scene were wearing body cameras and say the video will be turned over to the Independent Investigation Unit, something required by law in Manitoba when there are police-involved shootings. The Manitoba Major Crime Services continues to investigate. A proposed law to make forced sterilization a criminal offence in Canada has passed first reading in the House of Commons. Bill S-228 was introduced and passed in the Senate. It now has to go through the process with members of Parliament. Conservative MP Jamie Schmale, the opposition critic for Crown Indigenous Relations, introduced the bill in the House. He says Indigenous peoples are disproportionately affected by forced and coerced sterilization in Canada. The bill aims to criminalize the act under the Criminal Code and ensure no one is sterilized without their consent. The Survivors Circle for Reproductive Justice attended the hearing. Survivors spoke with APTN News to share the importance of this bill moving forward, including Nicole Rabbit. She says multiple members of her family experienced forced sterilization.
Why did this happen to us? Why did this happen to the Indigenous people? And then to look at just my family, you know, my mother, me, and my niece, you know, 3 generations. With this bill, it's giving us hope. You know, we're no longer, you know, not being heard. We're actually being heard. And this bill, you know, is going to give Canada the opportunity to see that it actually is still happening to Indigenous women, and it needs to stop.
The tremendous opportunity that's currently before the House of Commons to address these systemic wrongdoings, and to really take concrete action to solidify the ongoing legacy of Canada and their relationship with Indigenous women, Two-Spirit, and male survivors. And this bill is definitely put that opportunity before the House of Commons to you know, really look at what do they want that legacy to be going forward, and you know, creating a legacy that honors Indigenous women and their bodies and their reproductive choice and their fertility and their power and strength.
Back in Manitoba, the provincial throne speech happened in Winnipeg today, officially opening up the 3rd session of the 43rd Manitoba Legislature. The speech was read in English by Manitoba Lieutenant Governor Anita Neville. New this year, copies of the speech were printed entirely in Anishinaabe, which of course is a language Premier Wab Kinew speaks and relates to. The speech focused on the NDP commitment to prioritize health care and to improve public safety by tackling the province-wide drug crisis, with specific mention of working with the Manitoba, Kawaitanaiwi, Okimakanak, who represent 26 Northern First Nations, to take action on preventing meth and other drugs from entering their communities. As well, getting the Port of Churchill up and running in partnership with Indigenous communities.
A multi-billion-dollar investment in Churchill would transform our economy for generations. We know there is no nation building without Indigenous nations, so we are pursuing this potential project the right way. In true partnership with First Nations and the Red River Métis, we will enshrine Canada's first Crown Indigenous Corporation into law. Working with the Major Projects Officer and the Arctic Gateway Group, the Manitoba Crown Indigenous Corporation will build the best businesses and environmental case for a trade corridor to Churchill. To expand the shipping season, we will conduct a feasibility study this winter. If we secure a major project, we will make sure it has major impact with additional revenue supporting all-weather roads that can connect the poorest kids in our province from isolated communities with opportunities.
RCMP in Manitoba are investigating a man's death after he consumed unidentified liquid. It happened in the community of God's Lake Narrows. His sister says he thought he was drinking smuggled alcohol with some friends, but she believes they were sold windshield wiper fluid.
He's a really good kid. He doesn't do drugs or anything. He doesn't drink every day.
20-year-old Sydney Lance Jordan Chubb died. His two friends were treated in hospital. Nunavut has a new premier. Recently elected MLAs in the territory have been selecting the government's new speaker, premier, and cabinet by secret ballot today. South Baffin MLA David Jonassy was selected as House Speaker earlier this morning. Then the forum turned to the premier seat. Arviat North MLA John Main was selected to lead the next government. Two candidates were nominated for the position, Main and David Akiaguk. Both Main and Akiaguk held multiple ministry titles in the last Legislative Assembly. The Leadership Forum will continue into the night until all leadership positions are filled. Our Iqaluit video journalist will have more on the new Nunavut government on tomorrow's APTN National News. An update now to that allegedly illegal cannabis production on Mohawk territory in Ontario. According to the Organized Crime Enforcement Bureau, more than $200 million worth of cannabis was seized. Here's the latest from our Creason Achkate.
The Bureau consists of members of the Tyendinaga Police Service, the Canada Border Services Agency, and a dozen Ontario provincial police units. They say they seized more than 118,000 cannabis plants worth an estimated street value of $201 million in September and October in Tyendinaga Mohawk territory east of Belleville, Ontario. $3.7 million in contraband cigarettes, more than 35,000 kilograms of cut tobacco worth $9.8 million, and 3 firearms were also seized. 24 people have now been arrested and are facing up to 53 charges. 6 people are from Tyendinaga, while the others are from Toronto, Belleville, Windsor, and Duncan, BC. Police say the suspects were also involved in the unlawful diversion of water from the Bay of Quinte for the cannabis operation. The Ontario Provincial Police allege the seizures are part of an organized criminal network that was operating in Mohawk territory, where non-community members were exploiting First Nations land for profit. In a statement, Acting Sergeant Chris Brinklow of the Tyendinaga Police Service said, "These operations have enriched organized crime while offering no benefit to our people. The Tyendinaga Police Service remains committed to protecting our territory and ensuring that those who violate our rights and responsibilities are held accountable. All charges have yet to be proven in court."
Time for a quick break. Still to come tonight, a supervised consumption site in Whitehorse has resumed operations. And there's a new safe space for youth on the streets of Joliet. Stick around. Welcome back. A supervised consumption site in Whitehorse is resuming its weekend service 6 months after pausing it due to staffing shortages. Blood Ties, the harm reduction nonprofit that runs the site, has partnered with the Council of Yukon First Nations to guarantee coverage until the end of March 2026. The site, located in downtown Whitehorse, provides a safe and confidential place for people to consume drugs. Weekend service was halted there earlier this year following a public safety incident which saw Blood Ties lose a third of its staff. The organization says the incident magnified existing issues surrounding staff burnout and non-competitive pay, and that the Yukon government rejected funding approvals to help improve the situation in the long run. Its executive director says she's relieved that the weekend service will resume.
People use drugs 7 days of the week and need safety to do so. We also know that coming here and this becoming part of people's daily habit is such an important part of it, that consistency and reliability of the service. When we increased from a 5-day service to 7 days, we saw our monthly visits go up from 900 to over 3,000 pretty much within a month, and we've seen a corresponding decrease in visits during the weekend closures.
The organization says the site has helped reverse over 400 overdoses since opening in 2021. A new culturally safe space for youth is set to literally take to the streets of Joliette in Quebec. Stephanie DeSève was present at the unveiling of the four-wheeled project at the Indigenous Friendship Centre of Lanaudière.
On s'est dit, on va faire une caravane éducative. Bref, la caravane.
Jessica Jérôme, a Mi'kmaq artist, designed the trailer's exterior, in particular, the 3 bears. Stéphanie Bonsaint is the education project manager for 5 to 12 years old at the Indigenous Friendship Centre of Lanaudière.
On l'a appelé Mascoussouin, Mascou qui veut dire l'ours. L'ours est un animal important pour la culture parce que c'est un des 7 animaux sacrés.
The trailer is equipped for the comfort of the children.
Donc, on planifie d'aller chercher les enfants avec la caravane, puis d'apporter la remorque dans un parc où que les enfants vont pouvoir aller jouer dehors, mais un coup qu'ils ont froid, ils vont pouvoir rentrer, boire un chocolat chaud avec notre petite plaque chauffante.
It was designed to be a place to meet and learn, which Kiki, an Atikamekw mother of 2, finds ideal.
Je la trouve parfaite pour les enfants, pour les besoins qui vont avoir lieu ici.
The trailer is actually the center's second mobile service unit.
On a tout le rangement ici pour les bandages, faire de la sensibilisation, de la prévention et de l'enseignement aussi.
It was preceded by Mikanak, a mobile medical clinic.
On a une grosse partie qui est pour faire des soins. Donc, on voulait un lieu vraiment plus grand, plus accessible pour les enfants qui puissent rentrer, qui voulaient jouer. On a vu là, quand les enfants voient la clinique mobile, ils sont contents, ils veulent tous rentrer. Là, on devient coincé rapidement. Donc, avec la remorque, mais ça agrandit les services.
Mélanie Champagne is a special education technician. Previously, she would use a mobile clinic. From now on, she will travel with the trailer to offer nature classes and language stimulation in schools and at home.
On va aller dans les parcs, continuer d'aller faire les classes nature en forêt. On va avoir un coin là, où est-ce qu'on peut aussi soit aller se réchauffer ou prendre une pause, faire des activités vraiment de stimulation à proximité là, avec les jeunes.
Language development is at the heart of the new trailer.
Un exemple, ça pourrait être de travailler le tour de rôle, de se lancer le ballon ensemble, de piger des mots, par exemple, des figurines, puis de venir dire, par exemple, soleil, ou tu sais, qu'est-ce que, pour travailler là, certains mots.
The trailer is a place of endless possibilities.
Je vais donner des cours de ukulélé, je vais donner des cours de piano, on va faire la percussion.
People reacted positively to the trailer.
On a des sorties classe nature aussi, qu'on s'en va jouer dans le bois avec les enfants, mais on va pouvoir apporter la remorque avec nous.
Including Jano Ottawa, an Atikamekw from Manawan. He's happy that his children will be able to enjoy it.
C'est sûr que j'aurais participé à des activités. Ouais. C'est sûr que les jeunes, dans mon jeune temps, on aurait aimé avoir ça.
139 young people, ranging from children to 18-year-olds, are registered for activities at the Indigenous Friendship Centre of Lanaudière.
Ça fait en sorte qu'on est visible aussi pour les enfants. T'sais, si on arrive au parc, ils peuvent voir c'est notre roulotte, c'est notre remorque qui est là. Ils savent qu'ils sont les bienvenus, qu'ils peuvent venir en tout temps dans leur espace.
The trailer is now ready to serve the community. Stéphanie DeSève, APTN National News, Joliette, Québec.
Interesting concept. An internationally renowned artist is our guest on tonight's episode of Face to Face. We'll bring you a preview and more after the break. Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. And Gina shared this photo of her grandson Jameson posing with his first snowman of the season. Thanks for sharing, Gina. Keep the snow there. If you have a photo you'd like to share, you can send it to share@aptn.ca to be our next photo of the day. Now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting on the East Coast, sun's out and 7s for Fredericton, Charlottetown, and Halifax. +1 with flurries in Kuujjuaq, 2 in Nain. Sunny and 0 for Montreal, cloudy and 0 for Val-d'Or. +3 in Sault Ste. Marie, 2 in North Bay and Ottawa. Cloudy and 2 for Thunder Bay, 0 for Sioux Lookout and Timmins. -2 for God's Lake and the Paw. 2 above in Winnipeg, +1 in Brandon. 3 for Regina, Swift Current, and Saskatoon. +1 in Meadow Lake, -1 for Buffalo Narrows. In northern Alberta, -4 in High Level, 6 below for Fort Chipewyan. +6 with the sun out in Edmonton, 9 above and sunny for Lethbridge. Cloudy and 11 for Vancouver, 3 in Kamloops. 4 for Prince George and Smithers with snow on the way. -21 in Old Crow, 4 below for Whitehorse. -12 in Yellowknife, -11 in Norman Wells. 10 below for Sax Harbor, -12 in Polituck. -3 for Chesterfield, 7 below for Baker Lake. -12 in Resolute, +2 in Iqaluit. Mohawk artist Santee Smith is our guest on an all-new episode of Face to Face tonight, right after this newscast. The award-winning multidisciplinary artist is doing a lot of reflecting this year as she marks the 20th anniversary of Gahawi Dance Theatre, the company she founded. Smith says representation on the stage has changed a lot since she started dancing professionally.
It has changed a lot. There was little to no representation on Canadian stages for Indigenous dance. So it was sort of breaking the doors open and advocating for presence, representation, visibility, presentation. And so those early years were educating people about what it is, what is it? What does it look like? And battling people's expectations or stereotypes of what they would expect to see. And it's opened a lot more. We've been one of the companies that have shaken things up and continued to advocate.
And you can watch our interview with Santee Smith right here in about 90 seconds from now. You can also find our extended interview over on our APTN News YouTube page and at aptnnews.ca, where you will find much, much more. It's all the time we have for your APTN National News for this Tuesday. We'll be back here at 1 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow with your first look at the day's news. I'm Dennis Ward, Marcy McGuitch. Thanks for being with us. Stick around. Face to Face is next. Have a great night.